Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. This video is about 8 reasons why I tend to yell and why I am right to yell because of the exact reasons that I yell. And people are wrong to not see things the way I do, and they're wrong to not obey God through me. Point number 1. It is wise for one to take part in a logical and divine process that involves solving a situation. It is wise to come into this world with a certain existential intelligence and to then decide to take part in a logical and divine process to solve a situation. So you might think, duh, but you'll see how these points come together to prove my point. Point number 2. It is logical for one to commit to choosing death over being a sort of slave to evil people. You hear people say, give me liberty or give me death. Well, this is a more precise and perfected form of that. True freedom. Not liberty based on false conceptions, but true freedom. Point number 3. I have a logical and justified pre-existing resentment toward the world and 3 groups, white, Jewish, and LGBT governing class oppressor groups in particular, as they have persecuted the righteous and the vulnerable for selfish reasons. They do everything from hacking people's phones, to colonial activities, to evil policy making, to organized rape by deception, to reinforcing falsehoods to create sentiments in women that make it harder for me to get a date, and more. And they use dishonest scales in regards to their belief of the measure of a person. Point number 4. The government is trying to control people's mentalities and beliefs in order to make it so that their extreme abuse of people goes most smoothly. So they're trying to make it so that when they abuse people to the extreme on a large scale, causing 9 million people to starve to death every year, every 6.5 minutes, a woman or child is raped in America, and so on and so forth, they're trying to make it so these things go more smoothly. The governing class and their massive networks are clearly involved. So again, the government is trying to control people's mentalities and beliefs in order to make it so their extreme abuse of people goes more smoothly. And obviously the governing class and their massive networks are clearly involved with these government activities. Point number 5. These groups use military-grade provocations to provoke and stigmatize people. And LGBT harassment is a part of it. If you're a straight guy, you do not want LGBT people to harass you every day using technology, fumes, and poisons. You don't want them to team up with racist whites and Jews who are trying to seem more masculine and more deserving of an attractive female than you are. They're trying to make it so it seems that way. You don't want that to occur. And it's going to make you angry. The more you love the idea of being in love, the more you know the answer isn't to just meditate or something or pray it away, the more you understand that one must take action. That one who is slack in his work is brother to one who destroys. That which you did not do for the least of the brethren, you didn't do for me. That which you didn't do for me, you didn't do for me. He who does not gather with me scatters. The more you understand these things, the more logically angry you're going to be. When you see Christ as a character in the story, you see someone who's chastising people time and time again. The people who wrote the Bible even took the time to say that he filled up with righteous indignation. He felt indignant. He was angry. And not just at the moneylenders, at a great many points in the story. And the story doesn't talk about his life that much, but he's angry time and time again. And he's yelling and insulting, what have you. Point number 6. I typically and often swell up with anger after someone makes a loud clanging noise in my house, for example, that comes from dishes knocking against something, because it causes me to have brain pain. We'll get to that. Also, the microwave being slammed shut or a glass bottle Being thrown into a recycling bin creates a loud noise that comes with a vibration that causes me what may be referred to as brain pain. This brain pain also causes me to have cognitive impairment, and I do not think it is a coincidence that it interferes with my research and my writings. Now keep in mind, it is a bitch move for people to do that. That's like Ren and Stimpy being child molesters, making weird faces, trying to mimic the faces they make when they molest children, persecuting the top martial artists out of jealousy. It doesn't matter if it's a gang or a corporation or law enforcement, whoever does it, my goodness, are they disgracing themselves and their family? My goodness, do they hate their offspring because it seeps into their being and their interactions with their offspring, and their offspring pass it to their offspring, and so on and so forth. You know, their children pass it to their children, and so on and so forth. Okay. Point number 7. It would be insane for me to change my philosophy and religion, as all the philosophies and religions in the world are clearly inferior to mine. I made a video about this earlier where I talked about how God and nature expressed themselves through the Royal African Falcon martial artist. If you couldn't tell the difference between a handsome guy and an ugly guy because the handsome guy is black or mulatto, you would be an idiot, right? You know, universally handsome, what most people would agree is handsome if they're not racist, what have you. If you couldn't tell the difference between a righteous person and a wicked person because the righteous person is not your race, you would be an idiot, right? If you couldn't tell the difference, you know, with universal characteristics, mind you, between the top martial artist and somebody who's not, because the top martial artist is not from your race or religion or martial arts system, you would be a foolish person if the gap was as big as it is between me and other people. And for a similar reason, it would be insane for me to change my philosophy and religion, as all the philosophies and religions in the world are clearly inferior to mine, no offense to anybody. Consider logic and the components of the philosophies and religions, and consider natural appeal. Remember, they're sabotaging people. Am I talking about how I look when I walk into the store today? No. I'm talking about natural appeal. And when people see me, they see someone who's superior, who's being sabotaged, and they would be very dumb not to understand that. Point number 8. A huge part of my anger that I'm conscious of to varying degrees at various times is a result of attractive females shunning me and the unbearable and disgusting processes that people go through to get an attractive female. Also bear in mind there's a touch of confusion as it is not easy to quantify how much the least guilty of them deserves to be insulted, and to do so off the top of my head. Thank you.